How's it going, everyone? My name is Chad Chapman. This is part 5 of the series. I followed a Laravel tutorial but used my own framework instead. And we are going to go over showing the feed section.
But it looks pretty basic. This is the start of having our full Chirper application, but let's do a little bit of transformation, a little bit of TLC. We're going to
Let's do something real quick. Let's do let's seed our database. All right. Now we have a user. We have all these new users available. Let's continue. I do want to make a thing where, let's say, factories. I'm not sure if I have that yet. All right, let's do some factories. Oh, it's already there. Uh, all right.
add some user avatars, format some timestamps, and then utilize Daisy UI's components to make this look just a little bit nicer. The first thing is this home.blade.php is great, but it'd be nice if we could get every chirp as its own component. So that way we can only have one place that we're modifying just the chirps that are being shown. So in this case, this whole card right here. Again, we can create components within the components directory. I'm going to create a new file that says chirp.blade.php. So let me go ahead and paste in this chirp component, and we'll talk through some of the things that we changed. So here's pretty close to what we had previously, but now we're just making it a little bit cleaner.
Uh, that's a thing. Components. Let's and then let's see here. We'll figure that here in a minute.
Now, if there is a chirp user, we're going to use this avatars.laravel.clown, which is a free service to have these neat little gradients for you whenever you're needing these avatars that we're having for our application. It's a free service. Now, if there is a chirp user,
Okay. Uh, I don't know. How is that null?
we're going to use this avatars.laravel.clown, which is a free service to have these neat little gradients for you whenever you're needing these avatars that we're having for our application. We're just passing in the user email to generate them specifically for that user. And then we have a default one for anonymous users. Now here's the neat thing with Blade components.
All right. Hmm. I have no idea. Edit profile details. Huh. That's interesting.
We can pass in a prop, in this case, an array of chirps, or in this case, a chirp model, a chirp instance of an eloquent model.
Okay. Chirp. 0. Oh. 4 equals 0. I less than interesting. Okay. I would think that would work. equals. Okay, I learn something new every day. There you go. And then okay. How are they going to we want to do this? So is there such a class? Okay, let's see if we can do something similar. Okay. card. BG light. All right.
And this prop then allows us to access the chirp user or chirp.
Jesus. And then MY3. What? Okay. All right. W75. Okay, so I'm translating what you call it? Tailwind to Bootstrap. All right, so let's see here.
User name or things like a chirp created at or chirp message when we use this component in our view.
Okay. Let's see here. So let's. Okay. Sometimes this makes a difference. Yeah, it does. It's freaking weird. All right. So now, is there a car body? Okay. All right, that does exist. Deflex. All right, so okay, so that's all right. Let's just move this out. All right. Okay. And then if user all right. Image. All right. gosh. Where's the code? Mother. Okay, let's see here. A non-anonymous user. All right. So now,
And that's what we're going to do in our home view. So in our home view, we're going to, we can clear this out, but I might just replace everything. And let me paste this in. And so here we still have an empty state. We changed that up a little bit to make the styles look a little nicer. But we are passing in a new component, that xchirp component that we just created. We're passing in the prop, and in this case, that's what a colon indicates. It's a prop that we can pass into the component of the chirp. So we're still looping through all the chirps like we used to before. We're just looping through it in the instance of a component. Let's see what this looks like in our home page. Great, I cleared out some components and
okay. Now let's see here. Copy. Okay. Okay. my3. All right. And then we will do all right. That's starting to get there. Yeah, this is it's getting good. All right. MT. All right. Margin start, margin top. Can I get rid of padding? And then PT3. Uh, can I do right. Yeah. I think that looks good.
So we just have anonymous components for it right now, but this is looking pretty good. So now that we're cruising along, why don't we get some more sample data without having to open PHP Artisan Tinker every time we want to do that? Laravel gives us an easy way to do this with
And then there.
something called seeders. If we search for Cedar in our application, we have this
I jumped the
database
gun.
Cedar file. And you can
I
see
did it
here
again.
we have a user factory already created, which this just means that a new user can be created if we run a Cedar within our database. Seeders are a great way to make sample data that we can then just make sure our application is looking and feeling and working the way we would expect. We can create a seeder, you guessed it, with the PHP Artisan command. So I'm going to say PHP Artisan make seeder, and we're going to call this chirp seeder. We won't get into factories in this particular course, but factories are a great way to make random data, where within seeders, it's going to be a little bit more specific. This is basically just telling our database, let's run a particular command, let's do some things within models or Eloquent as we're populating the database. You can think of seeders as an automated way to run PHP Artisan Tinker commands, so you don't have to type it all out. I'm going to paste this in here. And so these are just some sample chirps, an array of chirps, and we're just saying if there are less than 3 users, which currently there are in the database, let's go ahead and create some new users with this information. Again, this is exactly what we would do within Tinker. This is just making it a little bit easier for us if we wanted to ever create multiple versions of this data. For each chirps as message, every user is going to get a random chirps based off of this chirps array. And so running the seeder command is as simple as saying PHP artisan db seed. We're going to pass in the class of the chirp seeder. And that database was successfully seeded. Again, a seeder is just an easier way to have all those Tinker commands run for us, but within a way that Laravel expects. So in this case, we're just running all of that PHP code, but seeding the database with it. Again, we're not getting into factories, which is the actual creation of randomized data that you might have seen in that user factory file, but that's for a different course. So if we were to take a look, oops, this looks good, but it looks like we have a CSS issue with a little bit extra spacing now that we seeded that database. Yeah, I think it's because we have these p tags, which are adding some extra block classing that we don't need. I'm just going to replace them with span classes and a gap of 1. There we go. That's what we want. So now we have a reusable blade component for chirps. We have a way to generate chirps if we ever needed to kill this database and start it up again. And then we have a clean way of showing user information, as well as generating a specific avatar for that user based on that user's email. So we're moving right along. Next up, since it's still read-only, we're going to let users create their own chirps. So let's actually make this social network thing social.
Okay, so that was a lot going on for this video. It's close enough. And then the next video will be creating and storing chirps. So that is it for this video, and we will see you next time.